Okay, the last thing we have to talk about in this motion and velocity section is something called a distance time graph, and we are going to be comparing two variables, distance to time, and by comparing those variables, we should be able to answer some questions that come along. So what does a time or a distance time graph look like? Here is an example of a distance time graph. In this case, the time is our independent variable and distance is our dependent variable. In other words, how far you go depends on how long you have been traveling. Okay, in this particular case, we are comparing a car and a buggy. You can see that we have a line for the car and a line for the buggy. The green line represents the car, the red line representing the buggy. Okay, now as we look at this, as I said, you should be able to look at this type of graph and answer some questions. For example, how long did it take the car to go 30 kilometers? Just a quick review of how reading a graph works. We're looking at a distance here of 30 kilometers, so we simply go up our chart to 30 right here. We come across and we're going to stop at the green line because it asks about the car and the car is the green. So we stop at this line and we simply come down to find our units of time, and we will notice that the green line comes down right here at 1.5 hours. So it would take a car 1.5 hours to go 30 kilometers. So how far did the buggy go in 5 hours? In this case, we're doing the opposite. We know the time. We go to 5 hours. We come up until we hit the red line because of it being the buggy, and then we simply can come across and find our distance, which happens to be 50 kilometers. Okay, so very simple and easy to read. Just remember, you have to pick out what you are trying to find. If you start with kilometers, you go up and come across or go across, and then you can find your time. If you know the time, you can find your distance. So if we look at this graph again, which is moving faster? Okay, well, the car is moving faster. For example, the car was able to go 50 kilometers in 2.5 hours, while the buggy took 5 hours. So the car is actually traveling twice as fast. Now, there is a nice little shortcut to this. So how do you know? The steeper the slope, you can see here that this green line has a steeper slope than the red line. The green represents the car and the red represents a buggy. The steeper the slope, the faster the object. So right away, when I ask this first question, which is moving faster, I could simply say the car because I saw that it had a steeper slope. Now, what you're going to be doing for your assignment today is you're going to be creating one of these distance times graph, and in the next short video, I'm going to show you how to do that. And then once you have that graph completed, then you will go on to answer the questions that follow.